You're listening to the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show with your hosts, the Fantasy Insider, Matt Brick, the Commish, Henry Brick, and the Doctor, Jeff Hathcock.
Welcome everyone in to the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. I am Matt Brick, the Fantasy Insider. Alongside me, my co-hosts, Henry the Commish Brick and Jeff the Doctor Hathcock. Good evening, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Doing great. What a week. A lot of special teams, a lot of injuries, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, it's just good to have another week of football in. Almost at week 4. Woof.
Man,
I'm excited, gents.
you said it right, Jeff. How about that game last night? 744 yards of total offense. That was just awesome to watch as a fan, and just great for fantasy. A lot of great stuff happened in that game last night. So I'm looking forward to this continuing in week 4.
Yeah, it was a weird one for sure. Lots of blocked field goals. Just kind of hasn't happened since like the 80s or something. So many field goals or something. So weird, blocked field goals. All right, let's get right into the news. Like Jeff said, unfortunately, a lot of players got hurt this weekend. Let's start with Najee Harris. Unfortunately, he tore his Achilles, so he is out for the season. Wish him the best luck and speedy recovery. Nick Bosa tore his ACL. That is a brutal loss to the 49ers defense, so best of luck to him and his recovery. CD Lamb has a high ankle sprain, which is very frustrating for Cowboy owners. Like, you know, if you have Dak and Lamb, it's very frustrating there.
There's talk about him going on IR tonight, by the way. So that's scary.
That in
Maybe
mind.
more than the 2 weeks. Yeah.
James Conner had a season-ending ankle injury. Unfortunate for him. Hope him the best. Mike Evans left the game with a hamstring injury. They're saying it could be 2 to 4 games for Mike Evans. Terry McLaurin left the game with a quad injury. I'm sure we'll get – I haven't received any other news than that. I mean, it sounds like he might miss some time there. I guess we'll find out sooner or later. Tyron Tracy Jr. left the game Sunday night with a dislocated shoulder. He's expected to miss some time as well. Colson Loveland left the game with a hip injury, but I heard that it's nothing serious. Alec Pierce left the game with a concussion. Michael Mayer also left the game with a concussion. And Diami Brown left the game with a shoulder injury. So those are the notable injuries of the league so far. Let's get right to it. Let's go with our stardom. Commish, why don't you start with your stardoms?
You got it. I got some good ones this week. Jordan Love goes up against Dallas, who is ranked 24th against the pass. And I think it's a huge get-well game for Love after that debacle against the Cleveland Browns this past week. So this is a great get-well game against Dallas. I also have Alvin Kamara. He goes up against the Bills. He'll be a big part of the game plan this week, running the ball, catching the ball. And, you know, we just saw a chain catch 7 against the Bills last week. I see Kamara doing at least the same this week. Finally, I got Rome Odunze. He plays the Raiders, who just gave up 41 points to the Marcus Mariota Commanders. Okay, Odunze seems to have a great connection with Williams. I see that continuing moving forward this week. I really love this, what they have going on there. You know, looks like DJ Moore, you know, I don't know what's going on. He seems to have disappeared. So Rome Odunze is definitely a guy you want to get in your lineup this week. Matter of fact, he's an absolute every week starter, I think, moving forward. Jeff, what do you got?
Yeah, I love the Rome Odunze pick, Henry. I definitely think Ben Johnson's unlocking this offense little by little. We keep seeing little things here and here and there that he's doing. I love that pick. For me though, listen. There's the Joe Burrow injury. There's all these questions at quarterback. Some guys aren't playing up to par. But right now, for me, especially if you're looking on the waiver wire, Sam Darnold, 12.1 yard per attempt in week 3. It just means more of a chance for big plays. And right now, at week 3, that 12.1 yards per attempt, that ranked number 1 across the week. He had the best passer rating, 154.2, and a .90 expected points added per dropback. They crushed the Saints. I know they're going up against Arizona, who's they're not exactly the Saints, but the Arizona is not exactly a formidable opponent. They're lucky to have 2 wins the way they've been playing. They just lost James Conner, who was the heart and soul of this team, and I think Darnold's going to have a really nice game. Right now, Arizona has given up 793 passing yards this season, and that's fewer than only Dallas and Baltimore. So I love him for a pick this week. And then on the flip side, though, Trey Benson, James Conner, he's done for the season with the ankle injury. He's rostered in about 52% of leagues, and I think he's a great running back to start. I think he's going to have a slam dunk game this week. He's got a little bit of a tough schedule coming up, though, the next 3 weeks. But I think, especially for a guy who's not super rostered in many leagues, I think he's going to be the top waiver wire target this week, and I think he's going to he's going to have Dean Mercado in the backfield who's going to steal touches here and there. But I love him as the guy that you can put in your flex spot, or if you had Connor, I think you definitely have to go and spend your fab up to get Benson. I think they're still going to try to run the ball. His yards per carry rate right now is 6.0, and that's only behind David Montgomery, who's just at 6.9. Among running backs with the last 20 carries this season, I think he's going to have himself a great game this week. And then Michael Pittman, he's the wide receiver 11 right now in points per in PPR scoring. He's averaging a career best 15.8 PPR points per game. Among receivers with at least 15 targets, he's the leader in EPA per target at .80. It's a career best right now for him. And he's the one of the benefactors right now for this Daniel Jones resurgence. I love it. I think he's a great play this week, and I think right now he's returning a very nice investment on his wide receiver 47 ADP, where most people got him at. So I'm liking that so far. But what do you got for us, Matt?
All right, for this week, I have Justin Herbert against the Giants. Need I say more? The Giants' defense has allowed 272.7 yards per game, which is 30th in the league. They have also allowed 60 fantasy points to quarterbacks, which is 20th in the league. So you're going to want to start Justin Herbert there. Next up, I have the Chiefs running backs against the Ravens. The Ravens have allowed 149 rushing yards per game. That is 30th in the league. They have allowed 85 fantasy points to running backs on the year. That is the worst in the league, 32nd. So either it's Pacheco or Hunt. They should be in your lineups.
Pacheco.
Yeah, sure. Then you got, finally, I'm going with Matthew Golden, the rookie, against Dallas on Sunday Night Football. Dallas has allowed 300 passing yards per game. Oof. That is the worst in the league, 32nd. They've also allowed 99 fantasy points to wide receivers, which is also, guess what, the worst in the league. So I love Matthew Golden in this matchup this week. So you're going to want to, I think he's a must start. All right. Let's go ahead and get into our sit-ems. Before that, you are listening to us on Cruising 92.1 WVLT Vineland, and you're also listening to us live on YouTube. Let's get into our sit-ems. Jeff, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know how to say it, but Kyler Murray he's not that guy. it's unfortunate. He's had sprinkles throughout his career, but with the injuries and everything lined up, and I just don't think this offensive coordinator's doing him any favorites. But right now, the Seahawks, they've allowed the sixth fewest fantasy points per game to fantasy quarterbacks through the first 3 weeks. Murray has run for at least 32 yards in all 3 of his games, but he's only logged a single touchdown in back-to-back weeks. He remains a high floor, low ceiling option at quarterback, and I just can't trust him. I mean, I have him on 2 teams. I have him on my dynasty team. He's not going to sniff my starting roster anytime soon, unless something terribly bad happens. So I'm taking taking what I can get. I would play definitely Sam Darnold over Kyler Murray this week in that head-to-head matchup. I think Sam Darnold's going to outplay him and outscore him. And then I know David Montgomery just had this incredible game. Over 150 yards on the ground against the Ravens, but the Browns have been incredibly good against the run so far in 2025. They have made a lot of good defenses this year. Or a lot of good offenses this year just look inefficient in the run game. They've allowed a league low 127 rushing yards to running backs this season on an impressive 2.2 yards per carry average. And I think, especially splitting the backfield with Jahmyr Gibbs, you're basically going to be praying that he gets to the goal line like he did last night against the Ravens and punched it in from the 1 yard line, because I just don't think there's going to be a whole lot of room for Montgomery to operate against this defense. And then, he hasn't exactly been a highlight reel, but Stephon Diggs, he's a drop for me at this point. Coming off the ACL, he hasn't really looked like the Diggs of old. He's had 6 catches for 57 yards in his debut, but he's racked up just 7 catches for 55 yards in these past 2 games. The Panthers have performed well against receivers this year while having more issues against tight ends and running backs. So for me, I'd look to get away from Diggs, and if you have to play like a Hunter Henry or maybe Travion Henderson as a result. Diggs is a questionable flex play at best for me, but I'm looking to just not play him whatsoever until something drastically changes in this offense.
Man, I'm on board with you with a lot of everything you said. I have Jared Goff playing up against the Browns, who allow the 4th fewest passing yards at 147 a game. So Goff's a big sit for me. Sticking with that same game, Jameson Williams up against the Browns, who ranked 3rd in the NFL. And I got to say, the fantasy insider Matt Brick called that the Browns are a real D. And they may shock the world and beat the Lions this week because of that defense. So JMO, Goff says you have Montgomery.
You're just going to want to look at the spread for the Browns because we'll probably cover.
You're probably right. Finally, I got Ramondre Stevenson. He goes up against Carolina, who just held Bijan Robinson to just 72 yards on the ground last week. On top of his fumble issues that he has going on, I think it's time to be really wary on Ramondre. Travion Henderson is just waiting in the wings to take over that role, so beware. And by the way, and another note on that, on Jameson Williams, that big game we just watched Monday night, right? Over 700 yards of offense. He has 2 catches for 43 yards. So big sit for me this week against the Browns. What do you got there, Matt?
All right. Let's go with my sit of the weeks. All right. This week, I'm sitting the Lions running backs because they're against who we just talked about, the Browns. They are still the number 1 defense against the run, only allowing 57.3 rushing yards per game. They have also allowed 22 fantasy points to running backs, which is 2nd in the NFL. So I listen, I understand. I'm saying this is a sit option. It's not easy sitting Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, but I understand how frustrating it can be when you're going up against a tough matchup. But I think you just have to look at other options. Just monitor the situation because the Browns' defense is real, and you're going to want to make the right choice. So,
if anything, temper expectations.
Next, I have Brian Thomas Jr. He just hasn't gotten the production that fantasy managers anticipated this season. The Jags play the 49ers this week, who have allowed 172 passing yards per game, which is 4th in the NFL. Plus, the Niners have allowed 42 fantasy points to wide receivers, which is the 5th best in the NFL and in the league. So I'm just not comfortable starting Brian Thomas Jr. this week. So keep that in mind when you're looking at your lineup. He just hasn't been getting the production. It's unfortunate. Last but not least, I'm sitting Zach Ertz this week against the Falcons. The Falcons have allowed 3 fantasy points to tight ends this year, which is 1 point a week. And number 1 in the league against the tight end. Do not start Zach Ertz. Thank you very much. All right, let's get into our world famous Dude, I'm Sorry segment. I'll start off. What the heck? Why not? Let me see what we got here. Last week, I told you to start Patrick Mahomes, who threw for 224 yards and 1 touchdown, 15.16 fantasy points. And for that, dude, I'm sorry. However, I did tell you to start Chargers running backs. Yes, I understand that Najee Harris got hurt, but hey, Amari Hampton went off. That's worth something, right? Kamish, what do you got?
Well, I had a plethora, unfortunately, of things to choose from. I had a tough week last week. But I'm going to go with Jordan Love. 183 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. I also had Chase Brown, 10 carries, 3 yards. For that, dude, I am so sorry. That's just absolutely terrible. On the flip side, on a good note, my DFS core, okay, my nucleus of Josh Allen, Jordan Mason, JSN, Amon-Ra, St. Brown combined for 7 touchdowns last week. So for that, I feel pretty good about it. Hopefully that helped people win some DFS challenges this week. So, Matt? You already went married. Jeff, who's your dude? I'm sorry.
Yeah, listen. I was wrong about Quinshon Judkins. He faced that awesome Packers defense, and he managed to average 5.2 yards per carry on 18 carries for 94 yards and a score. So he gave you much needed production. He looks great despite not playing pretty much all offseason. To me, I'm trying to trade for him right now. I definitely think they're going to lean on him the rest of the – I mean, listen, the Browns are not going to win many games this year, but I think they're going to try to slow games down. They're going to try to give him as much work as they can. And, he looked great. So, if you sat him, my bad. That's that's on me. But on that flip side, if I said do not rely on Jared Goff, I did say it. I broke it down for you. It was a great game. There was 700+ yards in the game for offense, but Jared Goff, he didn't do much. The Lions beat up the Ravens through the run game. They scored 5 times, and Goff only managed to score 14.7 fantasy points in PPR. So hopefully you managed to get someone else in there and sit Goff for last week. And if you didn't, you probably lost, and it's okay.
You mentioned Jared Goff there, Jeff. You mentioned Jared Goff. I just wanted to throw this out there that I offered the commish Jared Goff straight up for Trey Benson 2 weeks ago. I was denied. I only wanted small little Trey Benson. Looking to the future, 2 weeks later, Jared Goff goes off. I was forced to drop him because I made a different trade. And guess who picks him up? The commish himself. So I'm happy he's 0-3. I'm happy he was the worst scorer in our league the week that happened. And I crushed him this week. So that is what's happening. And the funniest thing is that we are 3 weeks in, and the commish has always been a big proponent of the Madden curse. I said he is the Madden curse this year, not Saquon Barkley, because of how poor he did me on that. I would have been in a great shape, but however,
thank God I'm in about 30 leagues, and that is one of my sore spots. Our home league here for sure, man.
To add on top of the Trey Benson thing, I don't know if you know this, but Henry also traded me Trey Benson, and I had James Conner. So I mean, he did me such a great favor, making that trade.
This is only the beginning, Jeff. This is only the beginning. I'm telling you right now, he might have the worst fantasy season ever this year because of what he did. And saying that this Madden curse is so for sure, and a lot of bad things are happening to him now. So
a lot of bad.
It's all going to turn around this week. Week 4.
He can say that to himself as much as he wants.
Turnaround week.
The reality,
you heard it here first.
It may be something different. All right, let's go into our DFS lineups of the week. I'll start that off real quick. We got week 4 coming up, so here we go. I got Jordan Love at quarterback at 6,200. He plays Dallas on Sunday Night Football. I mean, I feel like this is kind of a no-brainer start here. I was thinking about taking him as my starter, but I went with I think I went with Herbert, right? Yeah, Herbert with the Chargers there. But I love this. I mean, without that Dallas team just looks really bad. And once I saw today that they're the worst against the pass, 300 yards a game, Jordan Love might, I don't know, like he might break a record or something come Sunday Night Football. So I'm going with Jordan Love. Running back, I have Breece Hall against the Dolphins at 5,700. The Dolphins aren't really that good against the runs. So I'm going with Hall there. I got a Charger, Omarion Hampton at 5,900. He's of course against the Giants, which again they don't have that much amazing run defense, so I'm going with him. Nico Collins against the Titans at 7,400. That's who I spent all the money on. This one is interesting because that Texans offense might be. I think they're the most. I think they are the lowest scoring offense in the league, which is very unfortunate. But I think Stroud's kind of like they have to do something. Like they're not. They have to figure it out. I know this is the divisional game, but they kind of have to do. They have to. He has to figure it out, and the team has to figure it out. The defense is solid. I'm not. Well, yes, I know they've lost. They have lost 3 straight. That's one thing, but the offense needs to do something to figure it out.
They are throwing the ball to Nico Collins, though, finally. Like, I think they finally understand he's the best player on the team, and we got to just force feed the man the ball.
He's pretty good at football.
Yeah, he's not bad.
Might be a good idea.
I also think Woody Marks should be more involved. Chubb, although has looked better than I thought he was going to this year, I think Marks definitely has the juice in that backfield. So, obviously, if, the definition of insanity is keep doing the same thing over and over and expect different results. You got to change some stuff up to make it happen, which is what I'm doing this week.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
The drunk muffins were a little too drunk this week.
Right.
Next, I have now I have Lab McConkey against the Giants. I'm sorry, Jeff. I feel bad. This Giants team, man. I'm excited about Dart. Really excited. This is very, very exciting.
I'm very excited for this week 4. That we might be able to score a couple touchdowns
against the Chargers. They are instead of they benched Russell Wilson. So I got Lab McConkey, Jackson Smith and Jigba on Thursday Night Football against the Cardinals. It's just, I don't know at this point. It's just a weird team. Like Jeff was saying earlier, Kyler Murray. I had high hopes for Kyler Murray this year. I think some people did too, but I'm kind of happy I didn't draft him anywhere because at this point it's like, but at the same time, Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't catch that ball. Like
Marvin Harrison, he had
6,600. My tight end is TJ Hawkinson. Actually, I have 2 tight ends. He's against the Steelers at 3,900. I think that's a good start there. I think with that one, I think the Steelers have allowed the most against the tight end. So I think that's why I went with him. Fantasy points. And Trey McBride is my flex at 5,600 again against Seattle on Thursday Night Football. My defense is the Browns defense, 2,200 against the Lions. So there is my DFS lineup of the week. Kamish, why don't you give us yours?
I also have Jordan Love this week against the Dallas Cowboys at 6,200. Monster play. As I spoke earlier, Alvin Kamara, I'm going with him, 6,100 at Buffalo. He's going to be used all game, running, catching. I think it's a great play for him, fantasy-wise. Jordan Mason, man, just getting it done, 6,400 at Pittsburgh. That team looks really good. He put up 2 touchdowns this past week. I see that possibly happening again this week, actually. And here's what I think. How about year 3 player in the NFL, dare I say breakout player, formerly known as Hands of Stone, Quinton Johnston, okay? The Chargers goes up against the Giants, 5,500. I think that's an excellent play there. I spoke earlier, Roma Dunze, all the guys that I'm talking about, I like in my DFS. He's at 6,300. There's no CD Lamb, guys. Georgie Pickens. He's going to be the guy. At home against Green Bay. Green Bay's on a revenge tour to revenge what happened. Their big loss last week. They're going to come back strong this week. Dallas is going to have to throw the ball. Pickens will be the beneficiary there at 6,300. The top tight end in the NFL, Brock Bowers. What do you call him, Matt? Bowser? He's up against the Bears. He's 5,800. Okay, great play, tight end. At flex, okay, Hollywood Brown going against Baltimore at home at 5,200. Baltimore's defense just giving up yards every which way, and Hollywood Brown is really the only big play, one of the only big plays that they really have until Rice gets back. What's the name of the kid that's hurt right now? That's not playing for the Chiefs.
Xavier Worthy.
Xavier Worthy, right? So Brown's the guy. And then finally, we've been talking about it all night. The Browns D, a bargain on DraftKings at 2,200. Okay, that's a steal right there. It allows you to pick some higher dollar players every which way. So that's the lineup that's going to win this week, boys. So I feel bad for both of you, but there it is.
I mean, listen, that sounds like a great lineup, Henry, but I think Justin Herbert's going to blow the roof off of this Giants team. I've got Justin Herbert this week, 6,300. I believe he's going to be the quarterback 1 this week. The Chargers right now, they look incredible. They just had a tough game against Denver. They are 3-0 in their division. They are in the driver's seat. I'm just hoping Harbaugh's got these guys coached right. I hope they're coming to play this game to beat the brakes off the Giants, to make a statement game. The Giants should not be in this game whatsoever. They're starting a rookie quarterback. Justin Herbert's going to throw this ball all over the field. His line, even with the injuries that happened this, before the season started, this line is held up. The line looks great. I think he's a smash start. I've got J.K. Dobbins for 5,800. I think he's going to be an incredible start against Cincinnati's. Can you call it a defense? I don't think so. Dobbins has looked good. He's had the rock. That right now R.J. Harvey is not a thing. It's the J.K. Dobbins show. He's controlling the backfield. He's getting the touches, and I don't think they're, for that price to go up against that weak of a defense. I think it's a smash start. And I'm going with Jordan Mason, 6,400. I think, going up against Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh got gashed on the ground week 1 by Breece Hall. Breece Hall lit them up all over the field. This Pittsburgh defense, I don't think is, what it once was. It's not the steel curtain. I think Jordan Mason, they're going to lean on him in the run game again. And then I'm double tapping. Again, I'm big on Justin Herbert, and I'm showing it here. I've got both Quentin Johnson right now for 5,500, and I've got Keenan Allen in my flex for 5,300. I love the play. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but right now the wide receiver 6 on the year is Keenan Allen. The wide receiver 8 is Quentin Johnson. These guys they're catching the ball. Herbert's able to spread the ball around. Yes, Ladd McConkey, he really isn't scoring touchdowns, so he's kind of the odd man out right now. But this offense, the way Herbert's throwing the ball, he's able to force feed these three guys the ball, and he's only throwing to these three guys. So I think they're going to have an incredible game. I'm looking forward to it. I'm also going over Roman Dunze at 6,300. I think he's Caleb's go-to guy. DJ Moore caught the one touchdown this past week, but Rome looks incredible. Ben Johnson has him going all over the field. He's getting him open. He's getting him open often. And Roman's leaving plays on the field. He did it again this past week. He's dropping balls that he should be catching, and he should be having much bigger fantasy days. And I think there's going to be – I think it's soon, and I think he's going to have a 40-point monster week coming soon, just the way he's playing lights out right now. I've also got JSN for 6,600. Again, the Cardinals, they give up a lot of plays through the air. JSN has been an absolute monster this year. He's the wide receiver 5 right now in PPR scoring. For me, he was a sleeper I had this entire year, even with Sam Darnold coming in. I think this dude's a lock. He's going to be a top 5 guy. Like, you got all these other guys who are going through things. Justin Jefferson has so many question marks. There's going to be no Burrow for Chase. This is a perfect opportunity for JSN to show just how good he is and why he was the number 1 dude at Ohio State when he had Marv, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and all these other great wide receivers. He was the top dog there. So I think he's just going to keep showing out. I love Jake Ferguson, 4,300 at tight end. I don't know if you guys know, but CeeDee Lamb's not playing. He's not going to be playing for the next couple weeks. And Dak has force-fed the ball to Jake Ferguson. He had 14 targets this last week. This guy's a smash. He's the number 1 tight end right now, I believe, which is, to me, kind of crazy because I traded him away in a couple leagues in like packages to get Trey McBride, who's not doing too bad, but Jake Ferguson is just playing. He's getting so much volume right now. It's just incredible to see. And then for my defense, I've got the Vikings. They're going up against Aaron Rodgers and a team with the Steelers. I just don't believe in them. Justin Fields and the what we thought was a good offense, they did whatever they wanted to the Steelers defense. And on the flip side, like, Aaron Rodgers hasn't looked great. He looks slow. He's not getting the ball out quick. And I don't think the Vikings defense is going to have much of a rough time picking him apart and putting him on his back all game. So that's what I'm going with for DFS. I think this is a smash lineup. I think I got a lot of value, and I'm ready to put some points on the board, guys.
All right, man. I think that's great stuff, Jeff. To go back for a minute on Ladd McConkey, there was a receiver back in the day when I started playing fantasy, Steve Largent for the Seattle Seahawks. He reminds me a lot of him. Big possession guy, not a big touchdown guy. Of course, he ended up in the Hall of Fame, but McConkey will get his for sure. But
it's only a matter of time.
Yeah,
it's coming.
For sure. Absolutely.
All right. Let's get into our sleepers / long shots. Commish, why don't you go first?
I got one for you guys. Little wide receiver plays for the Denver Broncos, goes up against the Bengals this week, who have allowed 6 receiving touchdowns so far this year. That's one Troy Franklin. He's going to get it done in a big way. A great long shot. I know he only had 2 catches for 6-8 yards or something last week, but this week with the matchup against the Bengals, I think he has a great opportunity to put up a giant number. Sure. What do you got there, Mr. Hathcock? Doctor?
Yeah, I actually I'm going to piggyback off you because I had Troy Franklin as well. I backed him last week. I thought he was a great pickup, but I'm doubling down. They faced a tough Chargers defense last week. He still finished week 3 tied for the most snaps among Broncos wideouts. With the second most routes, targets, which was another tie, and receptions. He's the clear number 2 right now behind Sutton, and I like this matchup against this Bengals defense this week. I think he has a shot to be to be a top 20 wide receiver. I think he's going to have himself a great day.
Great minds think alike, Jeff. That's for sure.
What can I say? How about you, Matt?
Well, since Alec Pierce got hurt, I got Adonai Mitchell with Pierce in concussion protocol. I won't be surprised if Mitchell gets bumped in targets Sunday. So I call him a sleeper, call him a long shot. I don't care. I like Adonai Mitchell. I've always been a fan of him. He played at Georgia and Texas, so I think he's pretty good. So that's my guy. All right, let's go into waiver wire pickups. You are listening to us on Cruise and 92.1 WVLT Vineland, and you're listening to us live on YouTube. This is the best segment of the show, right? I mean, it's Waiver Wire Tuesday. Everyone's
This is why everyone listens, man. Waiver Wire night. Yeah.
This is why we do it, right? This is one of the best parts of fantasy football, trying to get your fab dollars in, and trying to get your guys. All right, Kamish, why don't you give us your waiver wire pickups this week?
Well, I know Jeff in the A block actually mentioned this, but I got to say, Trey Benson, right? Connor's out. Benson's had the juice. He is now the man. So he's obviously a big pickup in a lot of leagues. You also got to look for DeMarcado as his handcuff. He's a great pickup. But I think that was kind of an obvious one. Here's maybe a few, maybe not so obvious. Blake Corum looked like he looked awesome against the Birds on Sunday, and he looks totally interchangeable with Williams. I mean, if Williams misses any time, Corum is an easy plug and play kind of guy. But it looks like he is getting more involved in the offense. They do like to give him the ball around the goal line, so Corum's a great pickup, a good maybe stash guy, maybe a good bye week guy. I think the first bye week's coming up week 5, so something to consider, right? If you have room on your in your lineup, Luther Burden, right? Big wide receiver, hooked up for a 65-yard bomber from Caleb Williams against Dallas. Could be a nice start to things to come. And I have a question there. I have it in little parentheses. DJ Moore, right? Luther Burden. He might be a guy that can put some things together as this year goes on. And finally, I love this pick. We've been talking about this in a lot of the segments today, this matchup with the Packers and Dallas. How about Romeo Doubs this week against Dallas, who gives up the most fantasy points per game to the wide receiver? And it's a great get back to glory game for the Packers. So Doubs is a guy should be in lineups this week, and he is available in a lot of leagues. So someone to target to pick up. What do you got there, Doctor?
Yeah, I right now I'm looking at Jalen Coker. He had that quad injury out in August, and he's eligible to come off IR as early as week 5. Last season, he led Carolina wide receivers. He averaged 14.9 yards per catch and 5.5 yards after catch per reception. And right now, that downfield ability, it's sorely missing right now in Carolina. It's pretty much just Ted McMillan and then everyone else. Right now, I think, especially for Carolina, he'd be a nice play. I don't think much of the Xavier Legette, unfortunately. Hunter Renfrow, he is what he is. He's he'll have a couple good weeks and then he'll fall off the face of the earth like he just did this past week. So I think Coker's a nice guy to have, to pick up. You're going to get him for cheap. Another guy I'm looking at right now is Trey Tucker. Coming off a surprising wide receiver 1 overall performance this past week. It's going to drive up his price probably in the open market. But he's playing a great role right now. He's topping a 90% snap rate in all 3 of his games, and that usage makes him fantasy relevant. Even if a flex play, like Henry said before, bye weeks are coming up. You also have injuries. You got CeeDee Lamb, who just got injured. He's going to be missing time. You got these bye weeks coming up. Trey Tucker might be just a nice guy to, he's probably not going to give you a wide receiver 1 performance again this year, but at the very least, he's an option in there with a team that's going to be having to throw the ball. They're going to be playing from behind because they're just not very good. So he'll just give you an option to put him in the flex or put him in for a wide receiver who's either hurt or on bye. And
You believe I played against Trey Tucker this week? Guy plugged him in. I was like, you got to be kidding. I mean,
Yeah, I within like so many of my leagues, everyone was like, "Oh man, I didn't play Trey Tucker," and it's like, "Well, who did? Like, who would?" And then you just happen to be so lucky to play against the guy who needed him.
of
So
course,
I'm sorry to
kind of
hear
the year I'm having.
that.
It's all part of the curse initiative.
right. Thank you.
And another guy I'm looking at right now, Henry brought him up before, Woody Marks. His role has increased steadily. And this past Sunday, he just hit 48% of the snap share. I don't think he's going to completely overtake Chubb. But I definitely think, especially if this team's still looking to be in the playoff hunt, they're 0-3. Something's got to change. He's a guy that's on my radar. Chubb he's looked okay at best. He still looks slow to me. He doesn't have any juice. Woody Marks, they drafted him for a reason. I think they're going to get him involved. I wouldn't spend too much fab on him, but I like him as just a sleeper guy to have there. Maybe you'll get a running back 3 with running back 2 upside. But that's what I've got looking into this week. How about you, Matt?
All right. This week I have Torrey Horton, the rookie wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks. His target share shot up from 12.1% to 22.2%. He had 3 catches, 32 yards, and a touchdown. He also had a return touchdown, which he had the Seahawks defense, but doesn't help you normally on that, depending on the league you're playing in. He also had 4 targets. I don't think he's the number 1 pickup of the week per se, but I wouldn't spend more than 5% of my fab on him. But his production is something to monitor moving forward. This one, I'm really not sure of because anything can happen this week transaction-wise from the Chargers. But Hassan Haskins is the next man up with Najee Harris after the season. Again, I'm not spending all my money or fab for him, but for the time being, he is worth the pickup. Keep an eye on if the Chargers make a move or elevate a running back from the practice squad. So keep that in mind. And talking about the Chargers, the poor Giants, man. I feel bad. Go get the Chargers defense. They play the Giants this week. We hammered it in this episode. Yes, it is Jackson Dart playing, which I think everyone is very excited to see. But yeah, I think the Chargers are just gonna that their defense has been playing really well too. So I think I think it'll be a good streaming option for you this week for defense. I had something in mind. Oh, you were talking. Someone mentioned DJ Moore earlier, and I think it was Caleb that said that they're trying to make him like Debo, because I did notice that they did run the ball with him a couple times. It wasn't really worth anything. He didn't get many yards rushing wise, but that is an interesting thing. I mean, thankfully he did save his fantasy day with a touchdown, but yeah, it has been odd for Moore. I mean, yes, Roma Dunze's been balling, but you just never know with DJ Moore, All right, let's get into buy low, sell high. Jeff, what do you got?
Yeah, for me, I'm looking at right now. It's unfortunate, but I'm selling high on Hunter Henry. I really like what he's been doing, but it's Hunter Henry, and for anyone who's ever played Hunter Henry, they know that he will have these incredible games. He'll show off. He just had 2 touchdowns this past week. He's probably going to have another good game because he's Drake May's go-to, but he's just not reliable. So if you can trade him to a guy who's maybe got like George Kittle still on his bench in IR, or someone like Brock Bowers, he's still coming off the knee injury, or who knows what's going on. with Tucker Kraft. If he's completely healthy, maybe they sit him. There's plenty of issues. Plenty of opportunities. Maybe someone's got Kelsey. Try to trade him to the Kelsey owner. I'd want him off my team. I want to try to get what I can get for him, and I'm buying low on Drake London. I mean, Drake London he's too good to be where he is right now. And if Michael Penix continues to play like he did this past weekend, he is going to be benched. They traded away their first round pick for next year. They are not looking to be the bottom of the barrel and not have a first round pick. That's valuable. They were all in on Penix this year. If he continues to struggle, Kirk Cousins will be playing quarterback again, starting quarterback for the Falcons. That is a given. But yeah, he's too high a profile receiver. He busting through these first 3 weeks. There were so many people who were high on Drake London this year, myself included. And I don't think him being a wide receiver 3 for your team right now is going to stick. There's going to be a correction. So if you can, try to get Drake London and just reap the benefits.
All right, man, that's great stuff there, Jeff. My buy low candidate, okay, Marvin Harrison. I'm going to give you some numbers here. Week 1, 18 points, awesome. Week 2, 4. Week 3, 7. All right, now's the time to get him. He still has great target share. He does run the deep routes. If you have a league that gives you bonus points for the longer touchdowns, like I know we are on, he's got a great favorable schedule coming up, and now's the time to get him. Go after Marvin Harrison. Also have Chris Olave with only 165 yards and no touchdowns so far. Although he does, having said that, he does average 10 targets a game. Leads the league with 35. Okay, with the high volume, he should prove to be a strong player as the season goes on. So he's a guy you should go after. Everyone's so down on the Saints because they're terrible, but there's a little bit of a diamond in the rough for fantasy, right? Reality and fantasy don't always coincide. So Olave's a guy who should be targeted. Deebo Samuels. Week 1, 22. Week 2, 17. Last week, 4. Why? No Jaden Daniels, right? So with Daniels in the game, Deebo's a great fantasy play. I'm not sure if Daniels is coming back this week. If he does, man, you got something. If he doesn't, man, I think if you have an opportunity to go after Deebo, now is the time to get him because Daniels in the game is a solid player. My sell high candidates I have 2. One, maybe not so sell high, but sell high on the name is Jamar Chase. That team is an atrocity, okay? In my mind, it's a name, and because of the name so high, some get whatever the hell you can from him because he's I know he's killing me for sure. I always take running backs, first round pick, running back. This year I get the number 1 pick. I'm like, let me have some diversity. I take Jamar Chase. Let me tell you, regretting every minute of it. And you talked about him earlier, Jeff. Trey Tucker, great game this week. 8 catches for 145 and 3 touchdowns. Reality is this team is made up of Gentry and Jacoby Myers. To me, you sell him while he's hot. You could probably get something great from him because everyone's like, oh, man, I wish I had him. If you have him, sell him right now because you can get a lot for him, okay? So, lastly, Mark Andrews, okay? 6 catches, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's monster. But here's the thing. Week 1, week 2, he scored 1 point in each week, 1 point. And Isaiah Likely is going to be coming back. It may not be this week, but it may be next week, right? And I think when he comes back, man, you're going to wish right now you would have sold him while he's on a high note, right? So that's what I got for you this week, boys.
All right, my buy low, sell high. Buy low, I'm doubling down here from last week. Buy low, Travion Henderson. Ramondre Stevenson fumbled that ball last week, and it cost them that game. Henderson's production will increase.
So did Gibson, Matt.
And get
3 fumbles.
My sell high, I hate to say it. I mean, not really. I don't have any stock in him at all, but it is disappointing. Travis Hunter has been a huge disappointment for fantasy managers this season. I think we all saw the path for greatness for the young buck, but he was being drafted really high. This is again, we were also high on these rookies, and it just hasn't really panned out for the most part, in my opinion. But he's currently on pace for 56 catches and 440 yards, 0 touchdowns. Yeah, thanks, Travis Hunter. It's just like, come on, man. But let's see, where was I? Oh, whoops, I clicked on the wrong button. There we go. Okay, so yeah, he's on pace for that, which is around the wide receiver 70 to wide receiver 75. He was being drafted as the wide receiver 31, everyone. Let's all let that sink in. So if you have anyone in your league that wants Travis Hunter, I think he only has value because of his name. Hopefully you have a Jags fan in your league, and he'll take him off your hands. But yeah, I'm not in love.
Yeah, it looks like Parker Washington actually looks even better than him at this point. I mean, to me, Hunter's benchable, terrible, just terrible.
It's not great. It's not great at all. We still have a couple minutes left. I pulled up some drop candidates for you guys, and I wanted to see. I'll name a few, and I'll see where you guys are at if you're ready to drop them or not. Stephon Diggs, drop, hold. What do you got?
Yeah,
He's dropped for me.
Big drop for me, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
That team's tough to watch right
It
now. Until they
Drake May's been doing good though. I will say that.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have anyone, have Drake May.
He done.
Yeah, Drake May. Yeah, for sure.
Dylan Sampson.
Yeah, he's a drop. Drug case, right?
Yeah, Quinshawn is the real deal.
Yeah,
he's
the real
deal.
He's definitely talented. That's why he was drafted so high.
Yeah.
Jaden Higgins. That one hits me hard.
Well, isn't Kirk coming back?
I believe Kirk is returning.
Kirk is back. He played last
Yeah.
week. He played 66% of the snaps. For me,
Right.
Higgins is a hold. I do think he's talented. I do think Christian Kirk is not, he's not a superstar.
Right.
He's playing in the slot. I think Higgins can work his way into it. I would hold unless you desperately need to free up a position on the bench.
Yeah, I agree. With that.
Yeah. I think I'm holding him for this weekend. If anything happens, maybe. But it's that one's a shame. He's a bright future, so I'm really excited for his future. But right now, it's looking rough. Hollywood Brown.
Oh yeah, he's a keeper, man. He's the receiving core.
I want nothing to do with this Chiefs offense. I want nothing to do with this, unless the guy's name is Rashee Rice. I want nothing to do with this Chiefs offense.
When Rice comes back, Worthy comes back, this is a different team. It'll give Mahomes more options. Mahomes is obviously not getting the calls that he's been getting over the years, and I think the NFL listened to that complaint maybe, and they're finally calling the game correctly with him. But when he gets some weapons back, I don't think it'll be so. With the shoulder and everything, Hollywood Brown is just not. He's not good. He's not any.
Yeah, he has had a disappointing career. I mean, I remember, even when he was on the Ravens, I was like, man, he had all the opportunity there, and it just didn't work. And then once he got traded to that was trade, right? He got traded to the Cardinals.
Yeah, Cardinals. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think everyone was like, okay, this could work. And then I don't know. It's a shame. It's a shame. He was really hyped up.
But he does get targeted quite a bit,
Yeah,
so he's the only guy there, really, right? I mean, Tyquan Thornton caught the big one, the big bomber, but he's the guy, the go-to guy right now.
Yeah. All right, I think that's going to do it for us. Any parting words?
Go Birds.
Yeah. I will give my hamstrings, my Achilles, my everything. If we could just keep people safe, just
Yeah,
keep the
man.
players safe.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, these injuries are killer, man. They're killer.
it's crazy
for
how we're
fantasy guys.
That's
just
why
getting
I was
into week
mentioning
4.
maybe start your fantasy football drafts week 4, mid-season. Honestly, man, at this point, it's like it's
At
Joe
least you know
Burrow is
what you
out for the
got.
season, basically. Like, what are we doing? Like, I don't know.
Especially with the NFL not playing any preseason games, you know, it's actually something to consider. I don't know about week 4, but maybe week 2 or 3. It may make sense, especially with this longer season that we have.
Yeah, no, I
Something
agree.
to consider.
All right. Always remember, if you're not playing fantasy football, you're probably collecting Labubu dolls. Have a good one, everyone.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on Twitter at KAF Football.